Welcome to my apiary. Yesterday, 31st of October, Monday, I did another round of oxalic acid, but I did my nukes. I did all of my nukes out there, and I only used the Robbie's vaporizer because the Pro VAP's leaking again. I'm not real happy about that, but I got some big plans. So hopefully I'll be able to put together a video series this winter on those big plans. And my big plans are to build my own vaporizer. I've met a local guy here. His name is Mark, and I'm very, very thankful for Mark to educate me on these things and help me to source parts and understand the technologies involved. I mean, understanding the technologies, I've got that part. That's not an issue. Understanding kind of the best way to do it. He's done a lot of experimentation, different wattages, different bowl configurations specifically. And so I'm going to be using him as a resource to specifically configure my bowl. And my feeling is that the Robbie's bowl is actually a pretty good approach for a DIY kind of a vaporizer system. So I think I'm going to take the idea that Rob is using on his Robbie's bowl and I'm going to tweak it a little bit. I think there's some stuff that I can optimize for the way I use a vaporizer, and I'm not saying Rob has done it wrong. He's, I just want to make that clear. I'm not saying Rob has done it wrong. Everybody's different and everybody uses tools a little differently. So if you see a tool and you think, well, I can optimize that a little, like my Pro VAP, for example. I've got my Pro VAP sitting right here. This bottom exit on the Pro VAP doesn't work for me. I can make it work, but that's not optimal for what I do. For what I do, exit, halfway up or farther up is what I need. So hopefully I'll be able to make that happen with the ones that I build. And I'm actually poised to perhaps build 4 of these maybe, but I want to get a design that works for me and then replicate that instead of building 4 that I don't like and have to change them all. I can't see changing it that much except the bowl. The bowl is really the thing. The PID is the same. You can make a handle and a cord and an enclosure and a frame. All of that is kind of set. There's I'm quite happy with what Pro VAP has done up to here. I don't like this two-part bowl design. It's leaking again. I spent $75 on this bowl and it's leaking again. I think I tweaked it here too, and it's leaking at the top. So I think the Pro VAP is going to be used for parts for a homemade. Use the PID and probably just the PID, maybe the enclosure and the handle. So look forward to that. I'm looking forward to that. I've had it with vaporizers this year. Man, I'm frustrated with them. So I think with what I learned from Mark, I can definitely build something that works way better for me than anything I can buy. That's what it comes down to. We're seeing a lot about a product called Instant VAP online, Instant Vape, I suppose, if you want to say it that way. And I think that's probably one of the coolest products to come by in a long time. The fact that it's available for multiple different battery systems, DeWalt, Milwaukee, many others as well. You can go to the guy's website and see all the different options. I think that's really fantastic. The price point seems to be really great too. I've been told that the product is well made and it works great. I have a friend who has one. I haven't seen it yet, but it has that nice plunger loading system where you stick this. It's a stainless steel tube. It's kind of like a syringe. You stick it into the oxalic acid and it'll then pull up a pre-measured amount of oxalic acid. You stick it in the top of the unit, whack the plunger on the top, and it falls into the bowl. So I think that's a really good idea. I have a friend who actually has one of those on a Pro VAP, and he really likes it. He says it speeds him up a lot. People keep telling me, oh, you should get that plunger thing. And honestly, I don't think it would do anything for me. It's expensive. My retailer here has it for, I think it's $90 or something. That's a lot of dough. I don't think it would do anything for me at all. Loading the cups takes me zero time because I just do it while the vaporizer is running. And I've got more than enough time to load cups while the Pro VAP and the Larabis are running side by side. So there's no speed involved, no speed benefit there. And also, the way I use my vaporizer is kind of unique, I'm finding. Whereas I push it through the side of the box, if you look at how I'm doing that, you'll see that plunger thing wouldn't have clearance because the vaporizer generally is tipped toward the box a little bit. Or I've looked at it pretty closely, and I don't think it would work. It wouldn't clear the box. It wouldn't. It just wouldn't work. So, there's no point. There's no point. I'm not, of all of the things that I want in a vaporizer, of all of the parts of the vaporizing process that I want to improve, loading the cups is not one of them. I'm completely okay with that part. There's actually a place in Canada that makes oxalic acid tablets. So they just press the acid into a tablet, pre-measured. I don't know if it's a 1 gram tablet or whatever it is. I would like to use those. I think those would be great. Put those in the cups and flip them over and down they go. And I think the reason I'd like to use those is because when I'm putting the oxalic acid crystals in the cup and then I put the vaporizer on it, turn it over, I have no assurance of the crystals actually falling out of that cup into the burn bowl, and I know for a fact that on occasion they don't. I can whack on that all I want with my finger and all that kind of stuff, and sometimes it doesn't fall down, and sometimes not all of it falls down. Sometimes most of it falls down, sometimes all of it, and sometimes none of it. So if that was a tablet, then it would have less surface contact with the cup, and it would have some weight to it, and it would fall into that bowl far more reliably, I believe. So I'm going to try and get some of those tablets and test that out. So yeah, Instant VAP. I don't believe that's the unit for me either. Because I'm treating enough hives in a day that those batteries, I have the Milwaukee M18 system. The battery looks like that. That's a big one. That's a 9 amp battery, and I'll tell you, those suckers are expensive. Those suckers are really expensive. And batteries, you can only charge batteries so many times. Every time you charge them, that's one less charge. So every time you charge them, they last not quite as long the next time. And for the first couple of years or so, that shortening of time is imperceptible. But over time, every time you charge, then it's going to be shorter. It's going to have less and less staying power. It doesn't have more horsepower, it just lasts longer. with the bigger batteries. And I don't believe that I could vaporize enough colonies on a fully charged battery. I would have to be charging a battery while I'm vaporizing. So guess what? Now I need something that's plugged in with a cord, like my Pro VAP. There's something to be said for things that are plugged into 120 volt. And reliability is that thing. You don't have batteries that go dead. The only thing I have go dead is my generator runs out of gas. I walk over, pour my gas in, and start it up again. No problem. And I mean, there are those in the world who are trying to take the gas away from me, but for now, I'm okay with that solution. Not okay with people taking gas away from me, but that's a whole different conversation. So yeah, instant VAP. I don't know how many colonies they can do on, say, a 9 amp battery. You can get a 12 amp battery too, but I don't believe it would be enough to satisfy me. Plus, I'd always be looking at the thing and thinking, is that battery going dead? And it's got a gauge on it. You can see the voltage of the battery. But again, I'll leave that for other people. That's not what I need. Again, when I'm doing vaporization, I am never thinking, gee, I wish this thing didn't have a cord. It's not a big deal. I don't mind. I've got the generator. I've got the cord. It's not a problem. There are a lot of other parts of that whole vaporization process and the way the vaporizers are designed, the way they work. There's a lot of other things that I would like improved. And the fact that it has a cord is not one of them. And filling the cups with a little measuring spoon is not one of them. I have no problem with those two things. We're all different. Some people have to have something without a cord. That's fine. And I'm told the Instant VAP is a very good product if you're that person who wants to have something that has no cord. Yeah, so enough said. And again, I have a friend who got one recently, and he used it, and he absolutely loved the thing. So great. I'm glad he loves it. I have no desire to make a change in that regard to my vaporizing system. So having said all of that, the changes I do want to make are actually pretty easy. Let me show you a little bit about what I'm thinking. This Pro VAP is pretty ideal. There's not a lot I'd change in this thing. But everything I would change in this is right here. Okay. So I think what I'd like to do is I'll take this bowl system off of here and I'll throw it in the garbage. And I'm going to I can build a Larabi's style bowl. I can see how he's built that. It's very well, I'm going to say very well thought out. It's mostly off-the-shelf parts put together, which is great. I love that kind of thing. This is very proprietary. If I need a new one, guess what? $75 to Pro VAP. I don't like that. 2 pieces, it leaks around the bottom, on and on and on. Don't need 2 pieces. The Robbie's bowl is 1 piece. It doesn't leak at the bottom, except that he's got the screw going right through it. And he has confided in me that he's had some trouble with the washer on the inside sealing up. I don't have that problem. So, it's obviously not as much of a problem as this, because I have a problem with this. I don't have a problem with the Larabis. I have a hard time saying that. So again, this is about all I'm going to change. I'm going to change the heating element. Although this heating element is fine, I just don't know that it'll wrap around a smaller bowl, because this is a bigger bowl than Larabi's has, and this element pretty well pinches off there. So if I'm going to make the bowl smaller, I have to change the heating element. But so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to change the bowl and the heating element on the Pro VAP, and I'm going to experiment with some different tube exits, whether it be in the middle or top or whatever, tube sizes. I think this is probably the size I'm going to use, but I'm not sure. Larabi's tube is smaller, and there are some advantages there. I don't want the tube to be very long, because the longer it is, the cooler it runs and the more it'll plug. So anyway, that's the future for the Pro VAP here, is a new bowl, a new element of my own choosing.